Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Two cruise ships with almost 400 Jamaicans have now docked at the Falmouth Pier in Trelawney. 240 Jamaicans are on the Carnival Glory, while 140 crew members are on the Oceania Marina from Norwegian Cruise Line. The Disney Cruise Line is tentatively scheduled to berth on May 29 to disembark another batch of more than 400 persons. Director of the Western Regional Health Authority, Errol Green, says health personnel will have to be redeployed to speed up processing. Mr. Green says health workers had to be pulled from their core duties to assist those who arrived on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship last week. He says other regional health authorities may assist.
From all over the region, even though it's a good exercise for them, we're learning and we're creating best practices and so on. But we can't ignore our other duties. We have to support as best we can. So that means we'll have to double up on the planning and see how best we can pull people, or whether we can ask our neighbors, northeast and southern, if we can ask them for assistance, if that is going to be necessary. But as of right now, we need all hands on deck.
TVJ News understands that crew members from the Norwegian Cruise Line will disembark that vessel tomorrow, while those on Carnival Glory will disembark on Thursday. One resident said the people in Falmouth are scared.
Where me see people scared in Falmouth, but all of this system are going. Falmouth people are used to pay under siege. I think him do the right thing still to make the people them come off under precious way. You understand what I mean? But people can know what happened to that man when him come off a ship.
Meanwhile, 180 Colombians who arrive on the ships will be transported to a waiting charter flight at the Sangster International Airport. The private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is calling for a roadmap and a date for the reopening of our borders so that the Jamaican economy can benefit. This comes amidst concerns that the tourism industry and other linkages, such as agriculture, have seen a massive fallout in business due to COVID-19. The PSOJ says about 350,000 workers are out of jobs and it's uncertain when they will resume. It is, however, encouraged by the significant bookings from those who will like to have vacations in Jamaica. Days ago, a similar plea came from the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. An appeal this afternoon from care providers in Clarendon for additional ambulances to serve public facilities. While those talks continue, news that the expansion at the Maypen Infirmary is complete. Details from Dwayne Anderson.
Maypen Hospital. For healthcare professionals, it is a workplace. For the sick, it is where they go for health care. But for many unfortunate persons, the health facility has been home. Many of them went to the hospital for sicknesses and haven't left since.
They have been there for years and there's no family member to retrieve them.
Stakeholders, though, are looking to help fix that. That's why they gathered at the Maypen Infirmary Monday as part of their Labor Day plans to help with construction and repair work at the facility.
We are here today trying to continue the work that has been started over the last 2 months, extension of a ward, as it relates to building out to accommodate some other individuals who will be coming in from the Maypen Hospital. And so today, the chairman, the CEO, Metron and her team decided that even though we should be working at home, this is our home today.
Once the expansion at the Maypen Infirmary is complete, the wards living at the Maypen Hospital will be relocated, thereby freeing up critical bed space at the hospital.
Based on the whole COVID-19, they want some additional bed spaces, and so they reached out to us, and in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, we decided to renovate this area to accept those persons and to integrate them within our infirmary. So what we did 2 months ago, we started this project, and today we can say it is maybe 98% completed. What we're doing is just doing the final touches, cleaning the area, and so by next week we'll be able to accept these persons from the hospital.
In the meantime, there was an appeal from care providers for additional ambulances serving public facilities in Maypen.
The main challenge we have here is to get an ambulance for ourselves or a transportation to transport our patient here to the hospital, and when they are to do labs and when they are to keep up with their appointments. We have to go outside. The council have to foot the billing from their pocket to get taxi to transport the patients.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness is insisting that Jamaica must return to full productivity even amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. His comments follow concerns about the official lifting of the work-from-home order on June 1.
We have to survive the pandemic, but we also have to survive the recession. So we are putting in place all the measures, and with your cooperation, with your faithful keeping of the protocols, we will overcome this pandemic. We will recover our lost productivity, and we will be a stronger economy and society.
COVID-19 has fast-tracked a number of initiatives that should have been undertaken years ago in the workforce.
There are things that we should many years ago have done in terms of the reconfiguration of how we work, leader of the opposition, when I believe it would have been your administration that would have passed the Flexible Work Arrangement Act. That those are things, Peter, that we should have been pushing a long time ago, because much of the work, and I see Member Paul nodding, much of the work that we are doing in offices, some of them can be done at home.
In the meantime, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips has paid tribute to those helping to fight the COVID-19 pandemic.
And particularly to single out those workers, our first responders, our nurses, our doctors, our security force personnel, our ambulance drivers, all the people, those who do the tracing studies, the testing for the coronavirus, all those workers deserve.
The Prime Minister and opposition leader were speaking on Monday at the National Labour Day project at the Sir William Grant Park in downtown Kingston. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have much more stories right after these messages. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. Public Defender Arlene Harrison Henry is calling for the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF to withdraw its report arising from the administrative review of the Tivoli Gardens incursion 10 years ago. In 2010, the JCF and Jamaica Defence Force launched an operation in Tivoli Gardens to arrest Christopher Dudus Coke. This followed an extradition request from the United States. 76 people were killed in the operation. Mrs. Harrison Henry made the call while speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program this morning.
We need to know the identities of those police officers who were in the personal armored vehicle, because there are specific allegations against them.
Okay, so that's one.
We need the record of which police officers were deployed in particular sectors.
A commission of inquiry had requested the JCF to complete the administrative review. However, Mrs. Harrison Henry argued that the review failed to identify security personnel who did wrong.
In that administrative review, they exonerated the entire JCF. There was no wrongdoing. All protocols were observed. All operational procedures were in good order. Human rights were protected, and so on. So the fact is that the process of justice remains incomplete.
The body of a reverend from Junction St. Elizabeth was discovered in his home on Tuesday. Reverend Patrick Brown pastored the New Testament Church of God in the area. It's understood that after several unanswered calls and texts, Reverend Brown's adoptive mother, Jasmine Wellington, was asked to locate him. That's when she visited his home.
When I go there was no car. I said, Emma, something is not right. There is no car there in the parkway. And I jump off the van back like any man. I never wait till the van stop. I jump off of it and rush round to the side of his room window. When I reached there was a stench coming from the room and there was a lot of fly. And I said, Emma, Reverend Brown dead in the house. She said, how I know? I said, see the fly, them a come out of the room there. Whole lot of flies. And the strength is very high. And she come around and she prove it for herself.
His adoptive sister was also there.
And I ran off and go around there and saw him in the passageway. The big, healthy man in the passageway lying on his side. Well, people wicked. I had was to bawl out and say, God have mercy, why? What have he done to deserve such a cruel death?
Another relative remembered him as a helpful man.
That man was a father to this family. If he had a piece of yam, he carry. If he had a piece of cake, he carry. Tears is a language. God understand.
His motor vehicle, a vehicle which is a 2016 Toyota Axio, is also missing. The Manchester Municipal Corporation has been held captive by a decision by the Bank of Nova Scotia not to encash its checks. Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, said the financial institutions are becoming unreasonable and overbearing during the coronavirus pandemic.
We do business with Bank of Nova Scotia, and so you issue somebody with a check, and the persons go there and they join the line, only to be told after waiting in the line for 4 hours that we're not changing checks. Now, this is your bank that you have drawn the check on. That is where the account is. Now, you're going to be forced to lodge the check, but you can't draw the money until the check is cleared. I think the banks need to do better. We are creating additional burden that the people don't need at this time. The psychological problems, I mean, Doc, I mean, you might want to expand your mental health thing, you know. No, I'm serious. This thing is going to take a toll on a number of us because you can't work. You have pay bill to do and you can't go into the bank to draw cash to go pay your people them. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Checks made by TVJ News this morning revealed that to date the situation has not changed. Another issue is the suspension of a property tax collection at the tax office in Mandeville.
That alone is going to create some problems for our finances in the council, because that is where we get most of our money for our expenses here. And so we have to take that into consideration. We are in for some serious times.
As we continue our look at crime in St. Elizabeth, we hear the suggestions of stakeholders on how to minimize robberies and break-ins. Here's TVJ's Dwayne Anderson.
Police and soldiers at strategic points in the commercial district of Santa Cruz in St. Elizabeth. The law enforcement teams have taken to the streets in larger numbers in response to the spike in armed robberies and break-ins.
We are hoping that, increased operations, let me put it that way, for want of a better expression, by the police will result in greater scrutiny and a lessening of the incidence of crime in the Santa Cruz area.
Some residents believe the security forces could get added success if they use more covert operations.
I don't want the Santa Cruz, I don't want to get too comfortable at Santa Cruz. I want some outside plainclothes police. And if you want, we understand, one of the inside and the rest from outside, for they may not too comfortable. But when you call them, me get rubber me, I don't know.
and because policeman and telling me, I said, me go to a station. That time me already go to a station and go make report. And me goods in the market, so me just want a policy company and me lose my goods. You hear me? That reach me.
There's also a need to give idle hands something to do.
St. Elizabeth on a whole have so much things that people can find to do, like the amount of lands that the government have idling. I heard the Prime Minister said that we should visit the idle lands, which I think people who don't have anything to do now, rather than going around and stealing and do other things, they should look for some of those idle lands, plant cassava, plant sweet potato.
And then there's the issue of policeman power. The St. Elizabeth Police, like many other divisions, are under-resourced. For members of the political directorate, the partnership between law enforcement and the citizenry will be critical in bridging the gap.
We know the police in this time of COVID-19, they are basically overburdened with the amount of work they have to do. So I'm using the opportunity to call on our citizens to say to them, let us work with the police. Let us, support them, and let us not make things that difficult for them in this time, as they are basically working very hard to protect us, and we supporting them at the end of the day will make our community, our towns, our Jamaica safer.
There have been 50 reported break-ins and more than 30 robberies in St. Elizabeth so far in 2020. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
The Coronation Market in downtown Kingston got a thorough cleaning on Monday despite COVID-19 restrictions. With the details in this report from Oshane Masters.
A limited number of Labor Day activities on Monday, but the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, teamed up with the Digicel Foundation to ensure the Coronation Market was cleaned. Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, commended private entities for assisting.
I know the Digicel has a long-standing relationship with the Coronation Market. Digicel was instrumental in the construction of what we have here today, and to see that Digicel is also coming on board consistently to assist us with the Coronation Market, and in today's case, on Labor Day, is the sanitization and cleansing of the market space in what we call the covered section today.
The KSAMC also received pressure washers to assist with sanitization. Mr. Williams said the donations helped to cut some costs.
Well, one word could describe it. It's massive. It's a massive donation. It, as again, within the context of COVID, and the municipality has this commitment now to consistent cleansing and sanitizing of public spaces, but in particular high traffic public spaces, so that is going to go a far way in terms of ensuring that we can continue the sanitization and cleansing. In terms of it will reduce the cost.
He also spoke about other activities.
We have the National Parish Project, which is at the St. William Grant Park, where we will be repairing the statue of Norman, the Right Honourable Norman Mandeville and Alexander Bustamante, and general cleansing and repair and renovation of the St. William Grant Park.
The mayor encouraged users of the market to practice social distancing and to wear masks. To vendors, he urged them to adopt proper methods of garbage disposal. Oshane Masters, TVJ News.
In news overseas, Peru recorded more than 4,000 cases of the coronavirus on Monday. The country is second only to Brazil in the number of cases in Latin America. Details in this report.
Field hospitals have become a necessity, and inside public clinics, the situation has turned chaotic. This video obtained by CNN shows a government medical center in Lima, Peru's capital, with dozens of patients waiting for care in wheelchairs because there are no beds available. The leader of Peru's main medical association describes the coronavirus pandemic in the South American country as a health catastrophe. Peru's health system, Dr. Alfredo Celi says, is already overwhelmed by the pandemic. The country of 32 million on South America's Pacific coast has a coronavirus mortality rate of around 10 per 100,000 people. It's just as bad as Brazil, its much larger neighbor to the east, with nearly 7 times Peru's population and the world's second highest number of COVID-19 cases. The health system is so overwhelmed, the doctors say they must make hard decisions. Since there aren't enough beds available, some say critical health care is prioritized for those with better survival chances.
And in sports, Olympic and World Championship gold medalist Nesta Carter says he has no plans of retiring yet. And as he sets up a new business venture, he says athletes need the right team to plan for life after the sport. Denise Walters reports.
34-year-old Nesta Carter told the TVJ Sports he won't call time on his career just yet. The 2013 World 100-meter bronze medalist notes he's working hard to stay in shape and says despite the COVID-19 pandemic's interruption of sports, athletes have to find ways to stay fit, and it comes down to the person.
The good thing about track and field, specifically being a sprinter, it's about individual performance, right? So it's up to me to put in the work, because I'm going to be held accountable if I don't perform.
Carter, who has competed on the track and field circuit for over a decade, running a personal best of 9.78 in Rete, Italy in 2010, says the cancellation and postponement of events because of the pandemic has impacted the earnings of athletes.
Based on the travel restriction, athletes are unable to get a contract, renew a contract, or even compete to make an earning.
He notes it's important for athletes to have other avenues that they can explore.
I think athletes need to be diverse. This time it could be COVID-19, next time it could be an accident or even injury. So it's important for athletes to have the right team to help them make long-term financial and career goals.
Carter, who is also a businessman, admits he saw a need and got into his current venture of opening a dialysis center after his manager was diagnosed with renal failure and he also lost a family member. Denise Walters for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.